Hey everybody, it's Necromedes again. In our last episode, I showed you how to add your basic glow effects to a sprite. Now in this one, we're actually going to be putting it into a sprite sheet that you can use in your game, in RPG Maker. Or in this case, RPG Maker VX Ace, if you want to be technical. And this is actually relatively simple. Making the glow effect was actually a little bit more intricate than this is going to be. And if you watched the first video, this is going to be a breeze for you. Now, what we are going to do is, when we put it into the game engine, RPG Maker, we could just make an entire sprite sheet of just this ball. If you really wanted to, you could do that. But in my opinion, that would look very dull, and it would actually take away from your game. So we want to have it a little animated. So what we're going to do is we're going to make it have a pulsating effect. And by pulsating, I mean we're going to make it look like it grows brighter, and then it grows dimmer, and back and forth. So what we're going to do is, first of all, you'll want to make 2 additional copies of the file. And I've already done this for convenience. So you got your first one, which is open right now, then you've got your Green Glow 2, Green Glow 3, etc. You can call it whatever you want. That's completely up to you. So, what you want to do is you want to go ahead and open these up in the editor. Now, that's another great thing about Paint.net. You don't have to jump back and forth between files or have multiple windows open to edit them. You can just go ahead and open them all in one editor window. See, here's your first one, here's your second one, and here's your third one. A lot more convenient, in my opinion. Now, something I've done is I did change it to where the black background is its own layer, because you're going to want to get rid of the black background when you import it into the game. We covered this in the last episode. You want the background to be transparent. You don't want anything to be there, otherwise you just have this giant block moving around your screen and it looks horrible. So, the black background is really only there right now so that you can see in greater detail the changes that we're going to be doing to it. So what you want to do is you want to go ahead and get your basic green color here and choose your ellipse tool. Make sure your first one is selected. And actually, you don't want to make sure that your first one's selected, because we're actually not going to be changing the first one at all. It's going to be just like this. The second one, however, we are going to go ahead and add another green border to layer 3. Well, mine's layer 3, yours might be different, but the one that has the little rings in it that we used to help add on to the glow effect in the last one, you want that one selected. So, you want to put the little green ring around this one. This is actually similar to last time. Want to make sure you've got both your green and white ring in there, and they're both clearly visible. They're not really overlapping too much. I mean, if they did, it probably wouldn't matter too much, but for sake of argument, just make sure that they're separated right now. And make sure layer 3 is selected, and you're going to go ahead and add your Gaussian blur to it. And we're really only going to make it probably a 5. So we don't want to have the second one have too much glow just yet. Then you want to go to layer 2, where it's your white core. And you don't really want to add anything to it, you just want to go ahead and use Gaussian blur. And we'll make it 1. We just want it to be faded a little bit. Go to glow. We're going to make it maybe a 2. And we'll make it 25. You don't want to mess around with the contrast too much. We'll probably leave the contrast in the center. Well, a little bit of contrast to it. We'll make it a 30. Okay, that one's done. Now we go on to the next one. We do almost the exactly same thing. Layer 3. Add your rings into it. Make sure they're separated. And go to blurs, Gaussian blur. Now we want to make it a little bit brighter. Have a wider range in this one. Now something you do want to make sure that you don't do, and I probably should have covered this in my last episode, but you don't want the glow to go past the border of the frame. Because when you do that, when you import it into the game, it's going to be just a straight cut off section of whatever the animation is, and it's really not going to look that good. So we'll just make it a 6. I think that looks... yeah, that looks okay. And now, you want to go to layer 2, and you want to go to Gaussian blur, and we'll make it a 4, and make it a 3. Then we go to photo, glow. We want to increase the radius just like so. Let's check to see how it looks. Let's go ahead and undo that so we can adjust it some more. Bring that up to 20. And make the brightness around 75-ish. And we don't really have to mess with the contrast really at all. We'll just leave that at 30 where it was. Okay. So now you've got a pulsating effect. Now what you want to do is you want to go to each of your images and you want to get rid of the black background, like so. You want to do that to all of them. So that's just the ball floating there. Honestly, we probably could have expanded the white a little bit. Let's go ahead and do that real fast. Somebody messaged me on Facebook, but they can wait. Let's go ahead and do it this way. Let's try a glow effect. Go with the Gaussian blur first. Put it at 1. And let's try it one more time just to make it stack. Okay. Okay. Excuse me. Oh well. It's not really going to be too much of a problem. This is just a tutorial anyway. And I don't really have the time to mess around with it. I don't know what the time on my recording is, but we can move this along. So anyway, you got the black background removed. Now what you want to do is, first of all, make sure that before you do this, you have everything right. Make sure it's a finished product before you do this, because what we're about to do is we're going to take all these layers here and we're going to smash them into one. And when you do that, it's all going to be one image, which means you won't be able to go back and adjust the core or the glow around the edges or anything like that. It's all going to be one image at the end of this. And what you got is what you got. Otherwise, you just have to do it all over again. But we're going to call it good. So, we're going to go up here, merge down, and merge down, merge down. Now they are all one image. Now what you want to do is you want to open up a new blank project. Now, like we talked about before, one default sized Sprite page is 32 by 32. A Sprite sheet, however, is 3 across and 4 down. So the width is going to be 32 multiplied by 3, so that's 96, and the height is multiplied by 4, which is 128. And this is your basic size of your Sprite sheet. What you're going to do now is you're going to choose the select tool, you're going to select your first image, copy it, and paste it. Now, one thing to keep in mind with Paint.net is when you select a image in whatever editor window you've got, and you've got several images open, that is still going to be selected in the next image. So when you try to move it, or select it rather, something in my throat tonight, it's going to move the next image as well. So, just to save you a little bit of confusion. But, we're going to go ahead and copy this. We're going to paste it into this one. Make sure that it's even, right up next to the other one. And then this, paste it in here. Okay, now these images over here, the original 3, we're pretty much done with those now. Now, choose your select tool, and all you're going to do, since we're just going to be using the 3 frames, and you don't really have to worry about what direction they're facing, we're just going to copy and paste these 3 all the way down. So copy, paste. Once again, make sure that they're even and lined up. Paste. And paste. So now you've got your Sprite sheet. So now, what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and save this as, in my Sprites folder. Now, when you're saving just a single Sprite sheet like this, what you need to do is you need to remember to put a $sign in the file name. Because normally, the way that sprite sheets are put together, you've got usually, I think it's 6 sprite sheets on one image. So you've got the first one, next to that you got your second, etc., etc. So the way that the engine reads your sprite sheets is by length in pixels, like this actual size of the entire image. And since it's used to the default one having 6 sprite sheets in it, if you were to put this in without putting the $ in, it would still try to size it up the same way, and it would just completely mess things up. If you put the $ into it, it lets the engine know, okay, that this is just a single sprite sheet, and I need to size it accordingly. So be sure to put the $ in there, and we're just going to call it glow sprite. And we're going to save it, and make sure you save it as a PNG file, because that's the only, to my knowledge, the only format that RPG Maker, at least VX Ace, accepts as a usable format. Saving configuration, don't really have to worry about that. It's just at what detail it'll save it as. See, if you alter this, it'll just make it more blocky and whatnot. I'm not too knowledgeable on it personally, so I just don't mess with it. Works just fine. Just go ahead and save that. Now, let's go over to our little tutorial map here. Now what you want to do, delete that, is go to your Resources tab up here, Resource Manager, or you can push F10. That was kind of a mistake. I forgot that F10 closes my recording software. So there's a little blip there. It's because I had to splice 2 video clips together. Anyway, you can press F10 in the editor to open up the Resource Manager, but in any case, just open that up. And you want to go to Graphics, Characters, Import. I have no idea what that is. In any case, how odd. Suddenly it's just going to decide to be all wonky on me, I guess. Anyway, open up your glow sprite. You can go ahead and click preview or double click it in the list. Oops. And if it's the blue and black checkered background there, it means you did it right. And it means that the background is transparent. If it's not, you need to go back and fix it. So, with that imported, let's go ahead and take a look at it in-game. Just in case you're not familiar with the engine, you're just starting out, go to the event editor, double click on the map, double click your graphic box here, select glow sprite, and see it's perfectly sized up to the image. We'll just click the first one in the top left corner, and I'll explain what I'm doing here probably in a later video when I actually discuss how to use the editor and eventing and stuff that you can do with events and that sort of thing. But right now we're going to turn off walking animation, turn on stepping animation, direction fix, and through. We're going to click OK, save. We're going to start the playtest. And there you go. It's a little off there towards the end. We could have probably done that a little bit better. But as you can see, it's actually glowing in game. And you've got a nice little save point that you could possibly use. So that is essentially how you put together a basic sprite sheet. Later on, we'll most likely cover how to actually put individual sprites into a sheet like for instance the character here, because then you're going to have your up, down, left, and right images. And I'll show you a few tricks on how to do that. I'm not entirely sure what's going to be in the next episode. I'm still debating on that, but I'm sure I'll have plenty of time to think while this video is uploading to YouTube. So, I wish you all the best, happy spriting, and I will see you next time.